So today we'll discuss about the type study of earthworm, that is circulatory system. So, so circulatory system of earthworms is a closed type of circulatory system. Closed type. So this is the unique character of the phylum Annelida, and first time we are seeing the entire circulatory system is a closed type. Now, circulatory system is with full of vessels. Okay, the total body fluid is filled with circulates in a closed type of circulatory system, and it has also blood, which is in red color because it has hemoglobin in the plasma, not in RBC. There is no RBC cells as we discussed earlier yesterday. So hemoglobin dissolves in the plasma, and other than plasma, it has a WBC cells, which are phagocytic cells. Now these are the unique characteristics, and these vessels, some of the vessels are the contractile. Contractile, they have walls also. So these are the three important features in the circulatory system because these features are visible first time in the phylum Annelida, the closed type of circulatory system having a red color blood and hemoglobin dissolves in the plasma, and the walls are the contractile having the wall. These are the unique characteristics we have seen the first time in the animal kingdom, these characteristics. Now let us see the circulatory system. So let me draw the diagram. So if you see the alimentary canal, so in the dorsal side, this is a lateral view. For example, if you are seeing exactly like earthworm, so top is called as dorsal and below is a ventral. Okay, you are seeing from the side, no, that is a lateral view. So exactly if you are seeing the lateral view, and there is a major vessel which is coming from the posterior side to the anterior side and ends at the second segment. I'm erasing the in between so that you can clearly see. So, and it will connect with the alimentary canal with the three openings at the second segment. And this vessel, we call it as dorsal vessel. And this vessel passes the blood from posterior end to the anterior end, anterior, and these vessels are contractile. And please remember the only dorsal vessel in earthworm is contractile. Other vessels are non-contractile, and these vessels have valves. Okay? The blood passes from the posterior to the anterior, and these are contractile, and this is the major vessel in the earthworm. These have the valves, and these valves are just before the septa. So valves ensures that blood will not go backward. So the blood passage is unidirectional in the dorsal vessel. Okay. When coming to the dorsal vessel, it is above the alimentary canal, dorsal side, and the blood passes from anterior to the posterior. It has valves, so it ensures that unidirectional flow of the blood, and it is a contractile. The blood glands are present at the fourth, fifth, and sixth. Blood glands. So these glands have the cells, phagocytic cells, and hemoglobin in the plasma. Okay. Now, the second major vessel, which is coming from the second segment to the posterior end, that is called the ventral vessel, which is located in the median ventral part. This is called the ventral vessel, and this vessel is non-contractile, no walls, and blood goes from anterior end to the posterior end. Posterior. Okay. So whereas the dorsal vessel is having the walls and the ventral vessel does not have any walls. Blood goes from anterior end to the posterior end. There are other two vessels which is coming from 9 segment to the 14 segment. The, above the alimentary canal and below the dorsal vessel, that is called supra supraesophageal vessel. Supraesophageal vessel. In the ventral side also, ventral side, but they are not in the medial, they are in the lateral. Ventrolateral side, they are in the pair. So one vessel can be seen from lateral side, one is an back side. So I am drawing only one, which is starting from the same second segment to the 14th segment. So this vessel we call it as lateral esophageal vessel. So the above the alimentary canal, below the dorsal vessel. So the blood vessel is called as supraesophageal vessel, and the above the ventral vessel, below the alimentary canal, from second segment to the fourth segment, there is a pair of vessels, that is lateral esophageal vessels. Okay. So whereas the supraesophageal is only one in number, whereas the lateral esophageal vessels are in pair. Now, from the connecting dorsal vessel and the ventral vessel, in the seventh segment, there is a wide opening. The seventh segment, so I'm erasing in between this so that you can understand. At the seventh segment, there is a wide opening, and even in the ninth segment. These are called lateral hearts. So sometimes, so these are not hearts, even though they call as hearts, though they are not hearts, somebody is called as aorta, lateral hearts, which connects the dorsal vessel to the ventral vessels. In the 12th segment, also there is a wide vessels which connects the dorsal and the ventral, and this also connects with the supraesophageal vessel. They connect supraesophageal vessel to the ventral vessel, and the same in the 12th segment also, 13th segment also. These are called lateral esophageal hearts. From connecting this supraesophageal and the lateral esophageal in the 9th and 10th, there is a connect. 9th and 10th. 9th and 10th. Those are called anterior loops. Anterior loops. From 15 segment to the till the end. So each there is a connection between the each segment between the dorsal vessel and ventral vessels. In each segment, we call it as commissures. Commissures. Okay. So this is all about the circulatory system of the earthworm. So from the need point of view, so we note down the segments and from which segment to which segment these blood vessels are there. So that is very important. So if you see the blood glands, so they are in the 4th, 5th, 6th segments. And the dorsal vessel, so end to the 2nd segment. So it comes from the posterior end to the and ends at the 2nd segment. Whereas the ventral vessel just opposite to the dorsal, that is 2nd to end. And supraesophageal, ninth to 14. Now the lateral esophageal vessel, that is 2nd to 14th segment. Lateral hearts or aorta, 7th and 9th segment. And lateral esophageal parts, twelve, 10, 13, and anterior loops which are connects both the supraesophageal and the uh, lateral esophageal, 9th and 10th, and commissures 15th segment to till end of the segments. So these are the very important in the NEET point of view. Okay, so you need to remember the two main blood vessels are the dorsal vessels and ventral vessels. So the dorsal vessel is an unique. It has valves and it is contractile. Okay, the blood flow from the posterior to the anterior. Okay, all others are the non-contractile, non-valves. Okay. So you need to remember all these segments. So where it is present, and the blood glands at the fourth and fifth segment. Now let us see another system, that is excretory system of earthworm. So excretory system of earthworm. So generally excretory system means the removal of wastage. So wastage of the earthworms are the two types. One is carbon dioxide, one is nitrogenous waste. Okay. These nitrogenous waste are ammonia when they are in the water, plenty of water. Okay, in aquatic conditions. Because the ammonia requires more amount of the water. So when they are in aquatic conditions, these animals produce excretes ammonia. We call it as aminotelic. When they are shortage of the water, when they are in terrestrial, they excrete urea. We call it as terrestrial. They are ureotelic. Excretion of the carbon dioxide can be taken by the skin, and nitrogenous waste is excreted by the special structures called nephridia. So excretory structures of the earthworms are the nephridia. These nephridia are three types in earthworm. One is septal nephridia, and second one is integumental, and third one is pharyngeal nephridia. Okay. Now let us see each one of this nephridia. So in earthworm there are three types of nephridia. One is septal nephridia, integumental nephridia, and pharyngeal nephridia. Now septal nephridia are the typical one. Septal nephridia, because these nephridia are complete structure. Nephridia is a plural, nephridium is a singular one. They are typical because in the septal regions, so these nephridia are the full in structure. So they are present from 15th to 15th segment to the end. Okay. So if you see the structure of the nephridia, it has opening, the wide opening, we call it as nephrostome. Nephrostome. And then followed by the narrow opening, call it as neck. Then it leads to the and this opening we call it as nephropore. This is the structure of the nephridia, a typical nephridia. So these are present from the 15th segment to the end of the segment. Now if you see like this is 14th segment, 15th segment, 16th segment, 17th segment and so on. So it starts from the 15 segments, it will lies there, both the sides of the septum. The 14th segment, the only one side will be there. So each septum, one side it will be around 40 to 50 nephridia will be there. Now if you see both sides, 80 to 100 nephridia will be there. So it is uniform throughout the segments from 15th segment to the end of the segments, except before there is no before 14th segment there is no uh, the septal nephridia before 14th segment from the 15th segment to the till end. So each segment will have 80 to 100 segments, 100 nephridia, and these nephropores are into the nephropore opens into the intestine. So hence we call it as enteronephridia. Enteronephron and or enteronephridia. Enteronephric. This is the septal nephridia. Then we'll see integumental nephridia. So integumental nephridia are beneath the skin. Okay? Integumental or the skin, they don't have this nephrostome. So this is not a typical one. So for example, this is a skin like this. One opening in the coelom, the whatever the base, nitrogen and base collects, and it will excretes in the skin, and they are there from the third segment to the end. So integumental nephridium does not have a nephrostome. So hence we call it as exonephric. Exonephric. Whereas the septal nephridia are the enteronephric, but these are the exonephric because the nephropore on the skin outside the body. And each segment will have around 200 to the 250 nephridia. 200 to 250 nephridia per segment. Except in the clitellum region, this integumental nephridias will be around 2000 to 2500. So hence it is called, in the clitellum region, we call it as forest of nephridia. Why? Because there is a bunch of, around 2000 to 2500 nephridias are there in the clitellum region. Okay. So this is what integumental nephridia. Now let us see pharyngeal nephridia. So the third one is pharyngeal nephridia. Pharyngeal nephridia is around the pharynx. Around the pharynx, it's there in the 4th, 5th, 6th segment. The only difference between the integumental nephridia opens outside the body and the skin, whereas the pharyngeal nephridia opens in the pharynx. Okay, so hence it is called enteronephron or enteronephric. In the alimentary canal, it opens in the alimentary canal. So opens at the buccal cavity, at the pharynx. So it is enteronephron. So the enteronephrons are the septal nephridia and the pharyngeal nephridia, and whereas the integumental nephridias are the exonephridia. This is very important. Other than this, these earthworms are having the excretory cells. So what we have studied now, the nephridia or the excretory structures. Other than the structure, they also have a cells, that is chlorogogan cells. Chlorogogan cells. So they are present in the coelom. These chlorogogan cells are present in the coelomic fluid. They have two functions, that is storage of the glycogen and removal and storage of nitrogenous waste. So in higher animals like human beings, so these chlorovocal cells acts like a liver of the mammals. So the storage of glycogen and storage and removal of the nitrogenous waste performed by the liver in the higher animals. Whereas in the earthworm, the chlorovocal cells take care of this. So in the excretory system, the nephridia and the chlorovocal cells in the coelom are very important, which is take care of the excretory function.